Follow up, follow up, follow up. My only goal is to figure out what you want. Quarterly payments make me sick. Clinicaltrials.gov is basically free money. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Clinical Trials Guru again. It's theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a very busy start of the 2015 year, but I would not have it any other way. And thank you guys for sending in your emails and for watching and subscribing. My YouTube subscribers have been climbing like daily. My blog subscribers have been increasing daily. And I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things I'm doing before we get into today's content. But for those of you who don't know how this works, email me, dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I will get back to you. I'll keep you anonymous. I will phrase your question in a way that won't give away who you are, okay? Because I know it's a small industry. So today I'm actually going through some questions, and I know there's some details in there that I can't reveal because the person who this person's talking about is going to know who that is if they watch, and chances are, I still don't think the majority of the people in this industry watch this show, but that can change in a year. It's my goal to make that change, so I don't want to harm anyone's career or put anyone's career in jeopardy. So I will rephrase the questions and not read them out verbatim. But anyways, one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys about was I have a new LinkedIn group called the Clinical Trials Guru Leaders. So I had some time this weekend. I was sick, so I had some time to create this group. I literally just created it 2 days ago. It's called the Clinical Trials Guru Leaders. And we already have like 35 members. We have an active discussion on there already about when and how and why should we share study leads or should we not share study leads with other research clinics or other research companies in our industry. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? What are people's experiences? We've gotten a lot of comments already. So I plan to put a couple comments a week on there, or a couple of topics for discussion every week. But if you join, you're welcome to post your own topics, and maybe you have a question that the community can help answer. I did that for a number of reasons. Number one, LinkedIn is huge for this industry, right? If you don't know that already, you need to be on LinkedIn. Number two, my blog doesn't have comments, and that's for a good reason. It's because, or maybe a bad reason, but I've just gotten so many spam when I enabled comments on there that, literally every second a new spam comment would come up. So I would have to hire somebody to do that or find a better comment management system that would filter out all these spam comments. So I might do that later, but right now the place to discuss these things is on the Clinical Trials Guru Leaders LinkedIn group. And yeah, so that's the place for discussion, and oftentimes I'll take pieces of content. Like from this video, I might take a topic that we talk about later called employee retention and training, or just a topic revolving around a certain theme, put it on the Clinical Trial Guru Leaders group and see if people comment on it or not. And so you're welcome to join, comment, post threads, ask questions. We're there to help get your questions answered, and you can send me your questions if you want. Dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com, Dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com. I'll keep you completely anonymous. So let's get right into these questions, right? And this first one is really good, and it's probably going to take the majority of this video, but I do want to get into a few other ones. It is someone who currently, okay, so this person's been in the research field for 10 years, currently a recruiter and business development, and the current boss that she's working with, they used to work together at another site too. So the question is, how important is it to have a degree when it comes to being a clinical research coordinator? Because this person wants to be a research coordinator, and I can't give away too many details because the people will be able to figure out who this is, maybe, and I don't want to put this person's career at risk or anything. Do you need to have a degree to be a research coordinator? The answer is no. I know from first-hand experiences, second-hand experiences. So I've actually trained people, medical assistants, with no bachelor's degree to become really good coordinators. It takes time and training, but it can be taught, and you do not need a degree to be a clinical research coordinator. Now, each company might have different policies, but the way I've done it, and there's no FDA regulation stating that a study coordinator needs to have a degree. Okay, there is none. They need to have experience in that field, and that could be a number of things. You could have been a medical assistant. You could have even been a receptionist for a busy medical practice for years, for dozens of years, and know all the lingo, and know all the con meds, know all the side effects. I mean, literally being the physician's right-hand man or woman. They often make good study coordinators. So don't buy that crap that you need a degree to be a research coordinator. Now, does a degree help? Of course. Okay, because if you have a degree, this stuff is not even a question of whether you're qualified enough to be a research coordinator. If you don't have a degree, the question comes up, and that's, I guess, the old story of supply and demand. There are more people without degrees than there are people with degrees, and that is a sort of a filter for certain jobs. But study coordinator is not one of them, okay? And the reason is the principal investigator is ultimately responsible for the conduct of the trial, and whoever the PI deems would be an appropriate coordinator is usually going to be the coordinator. So in your case, and she goes on in the email discussing how she's really good at recruitment and really good at business development, but she really wants a challenge and wants to be a coordinator, but she's getting resistance and they're telling her no. Number one, I don't think they're telling you no because of the lack of a degree. I think they're telling you no because you are really good at recruiting and at business development, and they don't want you to do that. They get more value from you out of those roles. So if you really are this good, okay, and you've tried to talk to them about being a coordinator, I mean, number one rule, theme of this show is follow up, follow up, follow up. You should be talking to your supervisor about this every day, because if you're that good, they have to listen to you, and they've got to talk to you, and they're gonna eventually tell you why you can't be a coordinator. Every day, just talk to your supervisor, tell them, hey, I want to be a coordinator, I don't see why not. The next day, the same thing. The next day, the same thing. And you're not going to be annoying because you're still going to be doing well at your other tasks of recruitment and business development. But every day, maybe just take 5 minutes and say, hey, have you changed your mind about whether I could be a coordinator? Every single day, okay? If you're really that good, you're not going to get fired because of this tactic. If you want to play hardball with them, you can say, hey, look, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on the Clinical Trial Guru Leader Group, and someone liked my comments or my strategies on recruitment and business development. You don't have to tell them that, but just tell them someone approached you, and they said you can, in addition to recruiting and doing business development, they would love to have you as a study coordinator. Now you may have some leverage there, and you don't want to necessarily do it in a hostile or aggressive way unless you choose to go that route. So I don't know the context of your relationship. I mean, I see it in the email, but I still am not quite clear of the context of the relationship. But if it's that important to you, you will make it happen, okay? You will be a study coordinator. And this is something I need to tell employers out there. Oftentimes they're scared that if they take someone from one position and put them somewhere else, that they're going to get less value from that person in that position. So even though this employer has the opportunity and the employee said that she'll continue doing business development and recruitment while she's coordinating, the reality is employers, seasoned employers, know that if this person's put in another role, while she may say that she's going to do those other things, she's going to do less of those things, and that's bad for my business. You need to empower your employees, otherwise you're going to lose good employees. Okay, so if this person wants to be a study coordinator, help her grow, help her be a coordinator, and have her also do those other things like business development and recruitment. Have her teach someone else from your company how to do business development and recruitment. You don't want to just rely on one person. What if this person really does get approached by a competitor and they find out somehow that she's unhappy, and that the reason she's unhappy is because you're not letting her be a coordinator? What if they approach her and say, hey, why don't you come over here, you can recruit for us, you can do BD, and you can also do coordinating, because we hear that's what you want. So what a shame to lose, like, sounds like a superstar player for something petty as not letting them do more work, not letting them be a coordinator. So my advice to the employer would be, let her be a coordinator, let her recruit for her studies, let her teach other people how to do business development. If it doesn't work out, and have some good metrics and have some fair metrics to evaluate her against other coordinators at the clinic, and make sure everyone is aware of these metrics, then have her go back to her old job, and then she'll know that, hey, maybe she wasn't cut out for being a coordinator, because not everyone is cut out for being a coordinator. And it is true that recruitment, business development, and study coordinating, they often take different people to accomplish those tasks. I've been a study coordinator, I'm also a sales guy, I'm also a BD guy, but there are some people who are just good at data entry, or just good at study coordinating, and not good at recruitment, or not good at business development. There are some who are good at everything. So give her a fair chance. If she can't do it, if she can't perform according to your metrics that you set out for her, then have her go back. My advice, you don't want to lose a superstar player over this kind of petty stuff. Now, my advice to the employee is to follow up every day with your supervisor, and every day just ask what's going on, anything different, any new studies I can be a coordinator on. How about I start with just one study, okay, just one study, and I will train this person for recruitment, and I will train this person for business development, and here's why I think they would be good additions to me. Because what if I get sick? What if something happens to me? What if I go to another company? There's going to be no one here able to recruit or to get studies for us. So let me train other people. Let me have other people train me on how to be a coordinator, and we all win. I really think going forward, 2015 and going forward, the companies that win are the companies that really do care about their employees and want to help and empower their employees to become the best of who they can be. And I know it sounds really cliche and real cheesy, but I really think that the companies that actually do those things, and not just talk about doing those things, but the companies that actually do those things are going to be the companies that attract all the talent, and the companies that are going to take all the market share, and it becomes a real business, smart business decision to start treating your employees this way and empowering your employees. So hopefully this question helps. In short, no, you don't need a degree to be a coordinator. I don't think it's an excuse. I think they get more value from you as a recruiter and as a business development person. And as an employer myself, I might agree with them on that. But if I had an employee asking me every day, can I be a coordinator? I'll still do these things, but I want to coordinate. I just want to get my feet wet. I would eventually give in, and I would eventually create a system for recruitment and for development so that we don't rely on just one person. And I would develop a system for the coordinators to train each other, and I have done these things before too. So hopefully that helps. Let me know if it doesn't. Keep in touch with me. I want to know how it goes. Follow up every day. I got another question. It says, why is it so hard to find a clinical trials job these days, or is it just me? So we talk again about supply and demand, okay? Right now, there is a relatively low supply of studies compared to other years. That's increasing, but in 2013, 2012, there was really, like, we hit rock bottom where the study supply was really low. and the demand, meaning companies that wanted to do studies and get the work, increased. So you had more people competing for studies. Drug companies and CROs were laying people off. CROs recently started hiring again, and there is an uptick in studies, but it's just a supply and demand thing, simple as that. And there is a lot of people out there from other industries who lost their job. A lot of people, especially when the financial crisis hit, a lot of those people left their industry, and that was a huge industry, the mortgage industry, the real estate industry. A lot of those people are smart, hardworking people, and not all of them joined the clinical research industry because it's a small industry, but some people joined the research industry and created an influx in the demand for, or an influx in the supply of available candidates, but the jobs, the availability of the jobs stayed the same or decreased. So you just have more people competing for the same positions. So what you want to do, I've talked about it before on this show, if you're in this situation, is become really informed about the industry, volunteer anywhere you can, intern anywhere you can, get studies on your CV, so that even though you're not getting paid, because you may not necessarily get paid as an intern, you need to sacrifice like a year, maybe longer if you can, however long it takes. Build up your resume to where you have tons of experience and then go out and apply. It's much more likely that you will get a job once you have experience than if you don't, and if you're just fresh out of college and have no experience. That's what I would do. Got another question. It says, hey, quick question. Clinical research, real estate, marketing, what sorts of marketing do you diversify towards? So a lot of people think I'm all into social media, and I am, for good reason, but I love traditional marketing too. In fact, okay, I love when someone sends me a handwritten note. And one of the things you don't get in your mailbox a lot is handwritten notes with handwritten addresses. And this is, I'm going to get into another question that's going to tie in directly to this. But when we start automating the fact that we're trying to convince people that we care about them, it comes off tacky, and it comes off like we're machines and not really connecting with people. So, for example, when you get like a piece of direct mail in your mailbox, okay, and it's typed and it looks real corporate and it doesn't have a stamp on it, it just smells like this person printed a million of these things out and sent them to whoever has a mailbox. Those things, you and I both know what we do with those things. They go directly in the trash. We don't even open it. Now, if you get a handwritten note with a cursive writing and a stamp and maybe some designs on the envelope or something that you drew, it shows that someone actually took time to do this. This couldn't be mass produced. This is handwritten, just like something that's handmade and hand stitched versus factory assembled. In cars, like in a Rolls Royce, everything's stitched, right? So people pay more for that. So if you get something that looks like someone spent some time on, you will actually get that person's attention. And this leads me into my next question, which I'll get into. But so what type of marketing do I diversify towards? I diversify towards what is working at that particular time. So right now in 2015, what is working is these videos. So my marketing to my audience, videos, me answering emails, me getting on CyberDust and replying to anybody who sends me a question, me getting on my email, dan@theclinicaltrialsguru.com, and replying to anybody who sends me questions, me creating LinkedIn groups, posts, being accessible 24/7 is what works for me. That is my marketing now. In 2020, that might be something else. It might be virtual reality. Who knows what it'll be? It might be self-driving cars, and we have like holograms in the car that interact with us. I don't know what it's going to be. I'm not trying to think about that right now. I just know what works now is these kind of things, and that's the kind of marketing I diversify towards. And it leads me into my next question, which is, how do you go about securing an unpaid part-time internship? Ask any project or study manager by email. HR didn't work. Some people are put off by my interest in their research. Hit and miss. Send out 200 prospecting letters. Thank you very much. So you see how this relates to my last topic? Yes, you send out letters. Send out 200, send out 200,000 if you have to. It's a numbers game. But they cannot look like they're mass produced. So do some research on each company before you send the letter out. Everyone's company is on the internet these days. You can find out who the CEO is. If I go to company XXX right now and look up their CEO, or the person who I think will be my boss, the vice president of research or the medical monitor for that clinic, I go on LinkedIn, I go on Twitter, I go on Facebook, I find out who this person is, I find out what they like, I find out what they're passionate about, or I find out what the company is all about, and I write them an email and a letter, and maybe a video, okay? And I talk about these things that they're into, and I talk about what my skills are and what value I can bring to the table. And oh, by the way, this is all free. I just want the experience so that I can get hired to be a CRA in a year or two. But I do want to help you out in any way I can. You think if you send out 2,000 of those, that you've spent time researching, that you've spent time crafting the letter, handwritten letter, where you specifically talk about details that is known about the company, that is not like a mass email. So you don't want to just put, I'm interested in your culture and your company mission, I think we're a match. That sounds like it's generic, and I could have sent that out to 2,000 people. You want to say, hey, I understand that you guys are very much into oncology research. In fact, I saw from your Instagram photos, on your Instagram page, that you just had a fundraiser. I could be a really good asset for these fundraisers because I can do X, Y, and Z, or just whatever. I mean, find details that they will know that you took the time to know about their company and learn about their company. And the reason people don't do these things is because it's not easy. This is going to take time. All right, but it's your career, it's your future, and I say invest the time to do this. I mean, how long will it take to send out, let's say, 5 to 10 of these letters and emails, where you took time to research 5 to 10 companies, and just do that every week for 3 months if you have to. All right, so that's 40 a month for 3 months. That's 120 over the course of 3 months, so you're almost at 200. And just do as many of these as you can. And I understand you have a life where you've got to do other things, but this is really the way our economy is headed. And I think employers like myself can really smell out when someone is applying at 1,000 places and I'm just one of those, versus when someone's genuinely interested in me and what I'm doing. For example, if you approach me and you want a job and you don't mention anything about this blog, because believe it or not, there's people who don't know about this blog. I mean, it's on all my websites, okay? So take a little bit of time to research the company and the people behind the companies that you're applying for to be interns. Or even, let's say you're applying to be an employee and not an intern. Maybe that's not an option for you. Take the time to study those companies and find where your skills really mesh well with their mission and their values and their culture, and really piece it together. Do the work for them. Show them where you can be an asset. I think that's what's missing in a lot of these candidates, and I think that the candidates that win are going to be the ones who understand these things. But really good question, and yeah, send out the emails, send out the letters. I know for extremely busy people, email may not be the best way, but it's still something you should do. And but direct mail, believe it or not, if you find someone's direct address, let's say, I don't know, their corporate headquarters, write them a handwritten letter with a handwritten envelope and a stamp on it. Throw some stuff in there that show off who you are. Maybe lead them to your website or your blog or a video you made just for them. I think things like that will eventually get you what you're looking for. Was there another question? This is going on for a while, but they're good questions. So yeah, that's it for now. I've got more, but I'll get to those later. This is Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Let me know your thoughts on any of these topics today, and I am looking forward to hearing back from all of you guys very soon. Thank you very much. Dan from theclinicaltrialsguru.com. Take care.